This episode of Capes and Lunatics is brought to you by Tweaked Audio. Get awesome headphones, go to tweakedaudio.com and use the coupon code Southgate to get 30% off, free shipping, and a lifetime warranty. Or you can get there through the link on our website, southgatemediagroup.com.
It's Mozz, it's Chaz. We really want to be your friends. We hope the good times never end. It's Mozz, it's Chaz. We just really want to be your friend. Hey, heroes. Welcome once again to the AKA JonesCast. I'm your host, Charlie, the Professor Esser. And with me, as always, is my skinny rich friend.
It's Mozz.
Hey, Mozz. Glad you're back, as always. Welcome to the AKA JonesCast Season 3, Episode 2, AKA You're Welcome. Tensions run high between Jessica and Trish as Trish hones her new cat-like skills and scours the city for a chance to be our hero. Hey, do you know who directed this episode? It was Kristen Ritter herself.
Wow.
Yeah, well, you got to get into that director's chair every now and again, so you can wind up like Lou Diamond Phillips, where people know you more for your directing than your acting at a certain point. Brian Michael Bendis and Michael Gaydos gets our based on Marvel characters credit. Let's see here. Melissa Rosenberg gets our created by. Jamie King, again, our story editor, along with Jay Holtham. Hilly Hicks Jr. gets our written by, and our hardest working woman in show business, or possibly man in show business this week, is Jessie Harris, our unsung staff writer. Okay, so this episode, one thing I love about this episode is it pretty much jumps back and then forward and then back again. We get Trish at the end of last season walking to the elevator after Jessica's like, I don't want you in my life anymore. You killed my mom. You're dead to me.
Yeah.
As she walks to the elevator, she drops her phone and then catches it on her toe, which is so awesome. Then the elevator ride down, she tries to do it again and she can't. And this is my favorite aspect of this, because it really suggests that, yes, she has cat-like reflexes and speed and skills. She can see in the dark and probably smell stuff. But she still has to train to use that. That just having these skills aren't enough without the additional training to figure out how to best utilize it. And we get a really nice training.
Yeah, and I wonder how much of it is a placebo effect, because there doesn't seem to be any real powers, but the moment she got convinced that she did, she tried so much harder than ever before. But then her trainer said to her, what are you on, steroids? So maybe there is something to these slight improvements in her skills and abilities, I guess.
Well, yeah, I mean, what she has, yeah, she's basically, it's like she's not quite Captain America level, but she probably got the same kind of juice that Black Widow got, It's like there's a little extra juice in her.
Wait a second, Black Widow got
but
juice?
She still has to learn to. Oh yeah, Black Widow got. Yeah, she was part of the Soviet super soldier.
So, she got juice. I did not realize that. How interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Well, you think the Russians are gonna? The Russians are juicing their shot putters. You think they're not gonna send their super spies out with a little extra, a little edge on it?
Indeed.
Not for nothing. I mean, it may not be like true super soldier serum, but yeah, that's that. I mean, even if you want to go into the movies, they basically, we know that Bucky got the Nazi super, and that was the whole storyline with that, and then they used Bucky to make the Soviet super soldier serum storyline as when they made him the Winter Soldier. So yeah, so she's got just enough extra that it doesn't seem like she's superhuman, but then we also see where she can. I think we see in this that she can now see in the dark, and she does have heightened senses, and you know, she's in a very, very good place to start her superheroing career. After she trains. And then again, I love that we have this whole training montage where it is getting herself used to these powers, figuring out how you use the slightly elevated strength, these slightly elevated reflexes to do
Hmm.
more, you know. Because, you know, she had been training really hard for a long time, you know. She's a black belt in Krav Maga, yada, yada, yada. And, you know, she is, and I love when she starts her little looking for trouble
Mhm.
montage. She's got the
Yeah.
police scanner going, and you know, and it's like, but everything is like, you know, yeah, there's, you know, a robbery on 58th and 7th. Okay, people are on the scene. It's been defused, and it's like, you know, she can't seem to catch a break until a guy says, "Help! He stole my cell phone," and she chases down the guy and, you know, beats him up, and then gives the guy back his cell phone, and they're all like, "Hey, I know you. You're Trish Walker," you
Yeah.
know. Um, which leads me to, which of course leads to another a little changing room montage. Is did
Yes,
you see the
yes,
story?
indeed. And that was awesome. Halloween Adventures.
Halloween Adventures. Yeah, I was really sad we never see the ghost
Yeah,
in that scene, but I guess they didn't want to do anything at the makeup counter.
yeah. Well, I don't think he works there anymore.
But oh
Yeah.
yeah, well probably not. I
Yeah.
know he did when he worked the makeup counter, you know, because he is a special effects artist. Really great one, Josh.
Yeah. I remember back in the day, we used to rehearse our sketch shows after hours in there.
So and again, this is again one of these level. There's some great rhyming scenes throughout these things where um so there's this scene where she's going through all the costume options, and you know she's looking at everything, and she does the comic accurate, which is the yellow leotard with the blue slash. That's the comic accurate Hellcat costume, and she goes, "No in hell," and of course, yeah,
Hell no.
and that of course rhymes with the scene from the first season where she shows Jessica Jones the comic accurate costume, which was the white one with like I think it had like a royal blue royal electric blue star and sash, and she's like no, you know. Um, so I enjoyed that aspect of it. But she does now. She's out there looking for trouble, and of course, finding trouble is, you know, harder than she thought it was going to be. Really and honestly, you know.
Yeah.
One thing you can definitely say is that it's, as it turns out, the cops handle most real issues, and you know, trying to
Yeah.
find a wrong to right isn't always easy. But she winds up. Well, so first off, so just to catch up, after she attacks the guy, of course, the guy is going to sue, um, because she didn't get the information of the person whose cell phone he had stolen, and yada yada yada. Basically, she made a lot of rookie mistakes on her rookie time being a superhero, which, you know, fair enough. That's why it's called a rookie mistake. You know, Hogarth basically says, "Look, the idea is you're rich and privileged, and she's they're gonna want six figures from you." And she's like, "I'm living off my savings. I'm really not rich." She's like, "Yeah, I know that. You know that. They don't care." And so that's why she moves to the semi-converted loft space downtown, and you know, or actually, I think she's actually over in Brooklyn now. Yeah, because I'm sure she's nowhere in Manhattan. I mean, yeah, because yeah, she has to be across the.
Yeah, which just goes to show you. I mean, she's running on her savings, doesn't have to work, and she's got so much free time that she can fight crimes. And if there aren't any, by God, she will find one. She's,
Well, I mean, to be fair, she has, as she says, because she takes the gig that her mom offered, which was, you know, they want, you know, to do home shopping, to do the Trish Walker line, and it turns out she's great at it, you know.
yeah,
Um, Which, when you think about it, of course, makes perfect sense. Why wouldn't this woman be good at selling stuff, she's basically been talking to people her whole life and, selling herself. And, yeah, as they say, 90% of sales is selling yourself. But she takes the late night gig, and we also see that that's why when Jess is at the bar, she wants it on the Home Shopping Network so she can watch Trish, which is so sweet when you look at it in its entirety, because it's like, I'm so mad at this person, but I still so love them, and the Trish Jessica relationship, it is, as I like to say, it is effectively functional. It is, it is super dysfunctional, but it is effectively functional. They actually make it work in their own way. They're both a couple of people that have been through heck and have come up the other side and are just trying to be, better humans. And that's the truth of it. Even though now they're both superhumans.
Well, she's semi-phenomenal, nearly cosmically powered,
Yeah, well, she's superhuman. She can see in the dark better than humans can. Like I said, she has superpowers. They aren't amazing super. It's like Captain America, I always want to say Captain America doesn't really have superpowers. He just has peak human performance. It's like, well, he has peak human performance while actually having to do it. It's like, you're not going to tell me that juice didn't make it a little bit above that. And that's where Trish is. She is definitely above average. Now, of course, you compare that to a guy like the Punisher, who is, as they say, a natural super soldier. But then again, how much of that is just him running on adrenaline constantly, because he's just in a constant fight or flight reflex, which actually is just nature's own juice,
He's taken PTSD and learned how to use it as a tool.
There you go. Effectively functional, as I say.
Indeed.
That's another sitcom script I wrote a while back. It's a really good one. Not about superheroes, but about people in a bar. Yeah. I'll send you that one too. What the heck?
That sounds really nice, actually.
I love that one, actually. It's got a lot of great little stupid bar jokes as interstitials in it.
That sounds really charming.
Yeah. Anyway, back to the story. She, and again, addictive personality, decides to shtup her trainer after their big Krav Maga fighting session. And then, it's one of these things where it's like, oh, you're just sitting in my living room eating cornflakes right now. And he's like, oh, man. It's like, yeah, it was fun, but not as fun as you thought it was.
Right. He didn't read the situation as well as Jessica's gentleman caller.
Because Trish didn't strike him as the kind of person that Jessica is, because Jessica is all armor, and Trish is all disarming. So when Trish, decides to do that with you, you kind of feel like, oh, this must be special to her. Nope. And then of course, when Malcolm comes to the door, and it's like, oh, you're the new model, I'm the old model. We're both have designed an obsolescence. And that's great. But of course, he does put Trish on her new person that she's going to go after, the guy who essentially beat his sister to death because she got one item that he did not, which is just ludicrous. But again, I guess the guy's a sociopath, so it's like he is an unsympathetic character in this.
Right. Who knows? Maybe they had a history, or maybe that, obviously that piece of art is worth a tremendous amount of money, and maybe was worth more than the rest of the inheritance, but, he's still an insane person.
Yeah, well, exactly. It's it is what it is. It is, but it's his backstory, and she does in very good detective format. She follows him and figures out his habits. Rents out the studio to the Fleabag apartment across the street, so she can keep an eye on him. Lucky for her that there was a Fleabag apartment across the street. I'll say that much. You know, it's like just that you could get to that. But but she realizes that he has a gun in his safe, and she figures that
Yeah.
is the item, and she creates her plan. Her plan, which is to trigger his alarms, so he has to come in and get his gun, because that's going to open the safe, and then she's going to be able to see in the safe to see if he has a thing. Unfortunately for Trish, this is also when Jessica shows up and decides to disarm the guy for having the gun, and is like refusing to accept Trish's role in this.
I also think Trish is refusing to accept that she was probably out of her depth and might have gotten shot.
She might have gotten shot, but not for nothing. Um, the likelihood that she might have gotten shot was actually relatively low. She does have, because she knows, because she has the jump on him. That basically, when the guy comes at her, she's already moving, 2 steps ahead of him,
I mean,
and
I'm inclined to think she is.
we'll never know. I mean, I guess and that of course is the point of this. That we'll never know, because Jessica comes in, has to smash through the window, no subtlety.
Well, it wasn't time for subtlety. There was a gun aimed at her sister.
Yeah, and fair enough. And she doesn't know she has powers yet, but
Right, also.
And that's where you find, and then they have their big confrontation, which is like, listen, you said you never asked for this. I did ask for this. I have these powers. You don't have to feel that you are obliged to do this. Now, of course, that overlooks the basic fact that power, responsibility, etc., etc. Um, you know, uh, it does emphasize the fact that Trish wants to be here, wants to be a part of this, and for Jessica to sort of turn her away is kind of maybe Jessica being mad that someone has gotten powers and maybe is doing better with it than she has.
First of all, I don't think she's doing better at it than she has. She just started her supposed superhero career. She hasn't really done or accomplished anything yet. Secondly, I think it could be a lot more that she thought she was making ground with her mom, and she shot her mom in the head out of some inflated sense of responsibility that she wanted to take. Nobody asked her to be a superhero. Nobody needed for her to be a superhero, and maybe that situation would have turned out differently. It was her ego and her ambition that got in the way, and I think there's a valid argument to say maybe that's what she's feeling.
Yeah, that's that.
And she also probably thinks, okay, this is really hard on my life. You have no idea what you're asking for. Why are you so dumb to do this?
Yeah, well, but again, it's the idea that because it's hard on Jessica's life doesn't mean it's going to be hard on other people's lives.
She still killed her mom.
Yeah, well, she killed her mom, but her mom had killed lots of people
Right,
prior to that.
right.
Including, not for nothing, including
but her impulse to shoot her was not created by a sense of justice. It was driven by her ambition, and that Jessica makes. Well, you got what you wanted. I think.
No, no. I'm gonna let me put it to you like this, okay? The first time we see Jessica's mom, She kills the wizard, the fat guy that Jessica didn't believe had superpowers. The second time she kills someone, she kills, um, was it Frank Simpson? Nuke kills him because again, it is this idea, but that was someone who was close to
Simpson
Hattie.
was. That's right.
So you have this person who is, you know, it, you know, so it's like, who is this person to just think that she gets to kill people to protect her boyfriend when, again, no one is after her boyfriend. In fact, the only reason anyone's after her boyfriend is because she's, you know, I mean, there's,
But I think in that situation, she would have known that Jessica's capable of ending it if she needs to. I still think that it was outwardly due to her ambition as opposed to a sense
well,
of
except that
justice.
she already established that her mother was stronger than her and already wiped the floor with her, so that if Jessica ever felt she had to, the simplest thing is, the only thing that's keeping Jessica alive is because her mother is holding on to that little bit of humanity that says, I'm this woman's mom. I mean, not for nothing, the first time we see her, it is with her, well, not the first, but like chronologically the first time. It's again her beating a guy to death who was sleeping with her daughter, who her daughter had strong feelings for. And it's like everything about that character was, as we say, the impossibility of being a good hero. That it is a cruel world in which we live, and we are subject to those cruelties. And, you know, everything you think is a good idea doesn't necessarily mean it is. And your willingness to turn to excessive violence is a key to saying that you are not the person to have these powers. And again, to go back to that first episode when the guy grabs Jessica's arm, when he says, don't make me get physical with you, when there was no need for him to make that physical threat. It's that he is going to resort to violence.
Do you think we would have had the same question about that engagement had in Jessica's place there been a man?
I'm sorry, what do you mean?
Do you think we would have viewed that abrasive, were it a man whose arm he grabbed in Jessica's position?
Well, no, I think it would have been just.
If the act seems so grotesque to us simply because
No,
it's
I
a
think
woman?
that anyone who, it's like it's like Jigsaw in The Punisher. When the guy, when the professional jerk just starts picking on the homeless guy, and then the homeless guy turns out to be Jigsaw, and he's like, thanks for the clothes. It's like you are making a choice. You're making a conscious choice to be physical and cruel to someone because you think you have power over them. So,
Or because someone's trying to take your kid.
no, well, again, let me put it to you this way: if it was Luke Cage, I don't think he would have grabbed his arm. I think he would have known there is no way, not even knowing
That's an
that
interesting
Luke Cage
point.
had powers. Just looking at Luke Cage,
That is
he's
an
going to think,
interesting point.
this guy's going to wipe the floor with me. I got to
I see what you're
use a
saying.
better strategy. But because he didn't have to, because in his mind, it's little Kristen Ritter, and little Kristen Ritter, I could take her in a fight if I had to, theoretically. I don't think I could take Kristen Ritter in a fight. She goes to the gym once in a while.
Yeah.
More than I do, I'm certain. That's the thing. It's like he wouldn't have grabbed a man's arm.
Yeah, no, I dig that.
Because he
I
would
can
have
see that.
known, oh, I'm not going to beat.
Yeah, yeah.
And not for nothing, if he would have grabbed a man's arm who didn't look like Luke Cage and gotten his butt handed to him, it would have been the same situation, which was that he thought he could grab that arm and scare this person and tell this person to back off. Because he was a person who was resorting to violence when there is no need for that violence. And I think that is what encapsulates the idea that Trish and Jessica and her mom's story envelops, is that Jessica's mom in many ways was a mirror of Kilgrave. And you want to talk about that gender politics, it's like it's very easy for us to see the monster in Kilgrave. But in many ways, Jessica's mom is just as much the monster. You know, because at the end of the day, they both are using their power to take advantage of others.
People to get what they want. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And they don't have to. They don't have to be cruel or evil in the actions they take, but they're taking them because it's easier.
Right.
You know? And that, I think, is what that envelops. Whew. A lot going on in all this stuff. Final thoughts on tonight's episode, Mozz?
No, I'm digging where this is going. I want to see how they reconcile, if they can.
Oh, yeah. I mean, here's what I'm going to tell you. Much like that first episode, it's not an easy answer. It's not just one person's the good guy and one person's the bad guy. If there's anything that is a deeper depth in all this, it's that. It's not, oh, I'm the hero and you're the villain. It's that everybody exists within their own universe and everyone is trying to do what they can with what they have. Okay, Mozzie. If anyone would like to talk to you about what they can do with what they have, how can they find you?
Oh, they can email me at mozzmanzor@gmail.com or find me on Facebook under Mozz Manzor. That's MOZZMANZOOR.
And of course, you can always write to me in that old-fashioned email way the way our Mozz and Paz once did at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, at gmail.com. Of course, follow me on Twitter as I live tweet Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and any other show that comes back at any time soon, because I do love to live tweet when I can, at Charlie Esser, that's CHARLIE ESSER, but for the two E's in the middle.
Bing!
Hey, cats and kittens. Hey, true believers, as Tristan said at the start of the episode. Thank you for...
There it is.
Excelsior. Thank you for joining us. We're so glad to be your friends. We really want to be your friends. And we do hope these good times never end. Good night.